I find it absolutely fascinating what's happening on Twitter. There's a lot of assert going on right now, where people on the left are upset that certain right wingers are using Frieren as a sort of symbol, as a sort of mascot for their ideology. And as you can see here, the post is, can we permanently get rid of the narrative that the Frieren demons, or Frieren in general, has anything to do with American politics? My brother in Christ, I think it has everything to do with American politics. Not the politics with J.D. Vance and Donald Trump, right? Like, not the Republicans versus Democrat debate, but with the politics regarding American culture. And when you think about it, it's incredibly sad. But it is what it is, and unfortunately, the rest of us on the internet are going to have to suffer for it. And what I mean by this, notice how, like, a lot of people in America, yeah, they're identifying with freedom. They're not identifying with an American superhero. They're not identifying with an American rock star. They're not identifying with a character from an American TV show. They're not identifying with an American Hollywood actor or content creator. They're identifying with a Japanese character. And so you gotta wonder, like, why is that? America has a population of 350 million people. It's like, are none of them capable of creating something better? Like a better symbol than Frieren? And the answer is very interesting. You see, back in the day, America actually had a very vibrant comic book industry. And American comic books went way and beyond superheroes. Like, it had comic books about horror, it had comic books about slice of life, it had romantica and erotic comic books. It also had comic books about crime. And it all happened what happens usually in America. They have a moral panic. After World War II, a lot of fathers have died. And so it caused a huge rise in delinquency. And then a scientist, right, a sociologist, psychiatrist, I think they called him back then, came up with the idea that the reason kids are running amok is because of all of these violent comic books. And he published a book. It went very popular, especially with the Karens and the soccer moms. And as usual, like, they thought that they can solve complex problems with easy fixes. The complex problem being that single moms have difficulty raising a kid compared to a family of two parents. And they thought, okay, well, we're going to ban the comic books, and we're going to fix the issue. And so back then, America had these laws called obscenity laws. And the obscenity laws which exist in the US right now, back then they were a lot more large, and they included stuff like violence. And the laws were extremely subjective as well. It was like, if anyone finds it obscene. And so Frieren would actually have been banned. Like, an anime like Frieren would have never existed when the moral panic hit, because if you were a comic book store, or if you're a supermarket and you're selling it, you risked having Karens call the cops on you. Like, you risked actually having, and there were cases where they had, like, concerned parents just flock the store protesting, and eventually the cops would go in, and you could go to prison for selling something like this, right? And so that's when the Comics Code Authority comes in, and they crack down and they destroy the businesses and the livelihoods of all the people that were making horror comics, of all the people that were making slice of life, literally everything. The only ones that survived are the ones that managed to gain monopoly in the market, which is DC and Marvel and a couple of others that went underground. But mostly, this is what the Comics Code did. And yeah, like, it was a voluntary code, but it would protect stores from police raids. And that will go on for a couple of decades, and that's when you get the infantilization of American stories. You don't have, like, complex characters anymore. You have, like, this good guy, bad guy. right? So like, Batman is good, the Joker is bad. Now, don't get me wrong, like these stories, they're pretty good, but when you super saturate the market and everything becomes infantilized, you lose the adults. In the beginning, cartoons were actually made for adults, especially like the first ones, but this is why in the West you have this mentality that cartoons are for kids, is because like the stories were simplified, were simplistic, good guy versus bad guy, and that was like the only story acceptable. Now this changes in the early 2000s when finally the comics code goes away and the legislation changes, and now you're allowed to show violence. Even though at the time the Puritans were freaking out about violence, so again, they would have hated Frieren. Like any show that showed blood and gore to kids would be a big no-no. In fact, like shows that actually had sexuality, you know, if you had like a woman in a bikini, like that would be fine. You know, Baywatch showing it that to kids, like that's fine. But anything with violence and gore, absolutely not. And for a while, it was tolerated. Like, there were many American TV shows. That's the golden age of, well, the golden age, the best era of superhero comics. That's when you get the Civil War. That's when you get, like, DC Comics with Batman Beyond, and you get Marvel, and it becomes really popular, and it blows out into the fact that, like, everyone around the world now knows about American entertainment. Right? Like you have TV shows like Stargate, like finally you have like this age of creativity to the point where no one would have cared about Frieren. Because I remember like back then I was trying to get my friends into anime and everyone was telling me, no V, like what are you talking about? The anime is shit. Like that's for kids. Like look, American shows. And they were right, you know, like Prison Break. Like every single day, like there was a cool new show. And the comic books as well. I mean, Batman Beyond was pretty fucking dope. SWAT Cats, the Centurions, like I grew up with a lot of American good stuff. Back in the day where they actually allowed people to create. And sure, you know, you got like some really disgusting stuff as well, like the Human Centipede or the Cube, which was very grotesque. But that was the price to pay. You know, like that was the price to pay for creativity. And what happens later? Later you have the woke people come in. Now, the woke people, they also weaponized legislation. Just like the first Moral Panic, where you had the police raid you in order to see if you don't have any offensive comic books. During the woke period, you could have lawsuits. You could get Me Too'd, you could get like your entire company's PR damaged. They would sue you for sexual discrimination or racism or whatnot. And the lawsuits were so vague, right? I remember like Elon Musk got sued because apparently an employee claimed that someone called him the N-word, didn't have any evidence, but apparently like that was enough. And there's many examples like this. And so like companies eventually, they adopted the woke code. And the woke code, you know, like they desexualize all the female characters because they're fighting against the male gaze. And they add their diversity characters in by replacing and removing the original superheroes. And they have like the same story over and over again about social justice and the girl bosses and all that shit, right? And again, it goes to show that when you bring the bureaucracy, when you bring the ideology into entertainment, it starts being entertainment. And so the only guys in town that still managed to produce entertainment were the Japanese. And now you have like the same Puritans, the ones that yet again want to create the industry of public safety that, you know, they would look at every anime, at every manga to decide what is Christian and what can pass and what can't. They're now identifying with an anime character. In an anime that if their Christian grandmother was alive today, they would forbid it from watching it. Right? Like, again, in the 90s, this type of anime that was like filled with blood and gore and children dying, like, do you think like Christian grandmothers would stand for it? Like, of course not. But they're using that now, right? Because like, I guess they have nothing left to identify with. Like, the entire American industry for entertainment is destroyed. What was the last good thing that came out of American entertainment? Better Call Saul. Like, how many years ago was that? Game of Thrones. They destroyed it. Like, I remember how it started and how popular it got. And then you had the feminists come in. And they were like, oh my goodness, titties, we don't like titties. And they started censoring that. And once they did that, once they showed, it's like, okay, if they get an inch, they take a mile. It's like, oh, so they actually censored for us? Okay, well, rape, we don't like rape. Even though it's like it was used as a plot device in order to show just how bad a medieval society was like, and it was in the books, they started removing that. And they're like, oh, we want representation, girl bosses. And then by the end of the last season, every single faction leader was a girl boss. Like, you had Cersei, Daenerys, Sansa Stark, Arya Stark. Like, it was just women fighting each other, right? And and not only that, but like all the competent people got fired to make room for the ideologically possessed. And we have stories of what's happening when you allow ideology, especially like puritanical ideology, to infest the entertainment industry. And, like, that's fine. I mean, not everyone has to care about entertainment, I guess. I am sad that my kids are going to grow up with Chinese entertainment. Because sure, they can sanitize Japan, they can sanitize the West, but they can never sanitize Mao Zedong. Like, Mao Zedong is the terror of these people. And I hate the fact that he's going to win, because I don't want Mao Zedong to win. I don't want the communist Chinese Republic to be able to provide entertainment for my kids, but like, I guess this is it, because I'm not going to watch the shit that they're creating, because the problem is they're not creating anything. Like, all of these people ban. I haven't seen a single one of them make a video game. I haven't seen a single one of them make a comic book. Hot take, says Filipino. There, does it matter which politics it is when they're just tourists who see Frieren anime and Japan as nothing more than a proxy battlefield for their culture war? Yeah, that's pretty much the problem, like, they're importing their culture war all the way into the Japanese market. And they're now demanding Japanese to cater to the same sensibilities that destroy their own industry. And this is why it reminds me of social justice activists. Because at the end of the day, the social justice activists didn't give a shit about video games. They didn't give a shit about movies, right? They just wanted to destroy. And they would get really amused when they saw one of us getting upset about Star Wars being destroyed or getting upset about Marvel being destroyed. And they were like, you just want racism. You just want to say the N-word. You just want to... And literally the same shit is happening now with the Puritans, where people are complaining. It's like, you just want a goon. Literally the same arguments, just copy pasta. Just copy pasta and changing a few words. And this is why I think it's astroturf. This is why I don't think that this conversation is actually genuine. Because, again, it's critical theory. But it's critical theory with a couple of words being changed and applied to criticize entertainment and demand censorship and demand accountability. Literally the exact same thing that happened on Tumblr in 2016. I just hope more people get to see it. Because then we can finally have the conversation going, because right now a lot of people don't believe it's happening, but it is. So, anyway, let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.